This is a Langtu lt104 mechanical gaming keyboard, and today I'm going to be doing a little test and review of it. Now, it's not sponsored, I paid for this myself, so it's going to be an honest review. And I've not taken it out of the box yet, so I'll open it now. So you get this card that is a lot of kind of the instructions. I think it's got English one side, Chinese on the other. Put that to the side. Where's the keyboard itself? It's in a little bag. Get to that in a bit because there's some accessories, it looks like. So we got I think this is a key puller. Pulls the keys off so you can swap out the switches, because this is a hot swap one. And it's got a USB cable, the Type C. I think that's for charging and for connecting it as well. That's all the accessories you get, so nothing too fancy. Let's take it out of the plastic bag. That looks quite nice. It's quality control or something. Nothing really interesting, so nice sounding switches. Got a little pull. Oh, hang on, I'm off screen. Got a little pull thing on the screen here because it does have a little screen. They're always satisfying to peel off. I think this is a volume knob, and you can also control stuff as well. Got a nice click to it, that actually. So yeah, let's get it set up. Now, they had two options available from this brand. There's a lt104, which is this one. It's a full size, so it's got all these and the number pad as well. And there's a lt84, which I'll try to put a picture up on the screen. I'm not sure which keys it's missing off the top of my head, but it's like a shortened down version. It's a bit cheaper, but I went for the full size. And here it is compared to my old keyboard, which is also mechanical, but it's a different type of switch. This one, my old one, is a tactile switch, so you can feel and hear it clicking. The new one is linear switch. Sounds a bit nicer. Now, I didn't know if this would have tactile or linear switches on it, because it just said the type of switch. Or it said the name, which was like C Air or something, but it didn't say what it was. So if I take a keycap off, there's the switch. Take these off, put them back on easy enough for swapping them out, so it's a bit more upgradable. On the old one, it's a bit more difficult to take the keys off. This new one also has quite a high quality look and feel to it as well. Quite nice material. Also, the keys sound quite nice as well. Okay, so flipping it over, we've got standard feet that flip out. And under this one, that's where the USB thing is kept. It's good to have a place to keep it so it doesn't get lost. It's got the on-off switch there as well. And it's got some rubber feet so it stays quite firm in place on your desk. Switch it on, see if it's got any charge. See there, the screens come on, that's nice. Well, so this has got all of your caps lock and all that. That won't come on because it's not connected to anything right now, but got the RGB lights, which do look a lot nicer than the old keyboard, because this one, each individual one's got its own LED, I think. You see it's like a wave moving across, and the old one, it's just a one colour LED per key. Bit difficult to explain, I'll show you it now actually. So this is the old one. It does have a few different modes. This is a wave going across, but you see when I put them all on, it's just different coloured sections, whereas this one, the colours actually move across it. I think this has a few different colour options as well. This is a little screen on it. It's quite nice, the colour screen. I think you can upload GIFs to it with the software. It's got the time, date, battery percentage, and it's also got some of the keys as well, like num lock, caps lock. It's got the mode for the connection as well. I think there's USB, Bluetooth, and wired. I'm going to have to look at this instruction card to know the combinations, because it does have all the key combinations down there. So if you do get one, then it's probably a good idea to keep hold of this. Okay, so you can see when you turn the knob you got the options. It does appear to be in Chinese, so I'm going to have to try and turn that to English. That looks like it there. There we go. Okay, so I plugged in the USB receiver, straight away it's working. You can type stuff like it. Works as a regular keyboard would. Okay, now the Bluetooth took a little bit of figuring out to get it to work, but once you figure it out it's quite easy. So it's got 3 different options. You can connect it to 3 different devices and you can switch between them. Don't know what you can see there. There's Bluetooth 1, 2 and 3. Now to connect it you have to hold down on the knob and then it'll go into pairing mode, and you can connect to it from your PC or your phone or your laptop or whatever. And then once it's paired then you can just switch between the 2 clicks. So if I click there it should connect to my phone. Then it won't work on my PC anymore because it's connected to my phone. And then you can just switch back to my PC like that once it connects. There you go, so you can switch between 3 devices quite easily, which is quite a cool feature to have, so you don't have to faff about with unpairing it and all that. And you can also use it on wired mode with the USB-C cable there. Cable's about 1.5 meters long, which is the same as my old keyboard and probably about the same as any other keyboard you'd get, so it's enough. And it comes with this little tie thingy so you can keep it all together when you're transporting it up. Another thing is, out the box it's got the right date but it's not got the right time on it, so I think you might have to set that through the software, which I'll have to download. Obviously you don't have to download that to use it, but you can set the time, set GIFs and all that stuff, so I'll download that and have a look. Okay, so I managed to find a copy of the software. It was quite difficult to find actually. I had to watch a few YouTube videos, none of them in English, and I had to Google Translate the Chinese website. But I managed to find it anyway. I'll put a link in the description to the right one. There's 2 options, because I think there's 2 options for the screen. There's the colour screen, which is what I have. We'll focus down there. And there's one with just a regular 7-segment LED screen, so I'll put the link to this one in the description. I don't know if it'll let me actually, but I'll try anyway. So this is a software. I think you can remap the keys to do whatever you want. And you can do macro keys, which is quite useful. You can have a set different keys to open programs, all that stuff. I've not tried it out, but I'm assuming it'll work. You can control the LED mode from the keyboard itself with the screen and the knob, but you can also do it through the software. I think you got more options through here. I'll come to that a bit later. This is a section where you can upload a GIF. This is the one it comes preloaded with. You see through here, if I flick through, it shows all the frames, and you can just show that by turning left on the knob, and if I focus it, there you go, it plays a little GIF. The resolution is not brilliant on this little screen, but it's good enough. It is kind of a gimmick, that kind of thing where you can play a little GIF on the screen, but it's a cool feature anyway. I think this is where you can map one colour to a certain key, or you can... not sure actually, I'll have a look at this, what it is. Okay, so yeah, this section you can map a certain colour to a certain key if you want, so you see I've added just a few there. And if you come down here you can actually see it is lit up on the colour that I set. I don't think, because it does have side lights, I don't think you can control these in the software. I think you just stay on purple or cycling through colours, but might figure it out later. And this, I think that's another light mode. So there needs to be 2 sections of light mode, so not sure what that's about. And you can also have it to be sound reactive, so it flashes in time with the music. I'll just test that out now. Okay, so I found some no copyright music on YouTube. Let's press play. Don't know if you can hear it, the camera's picking it up, but see, it's quite a cool effect. It's like a spectrum And another thing to note is if you pause it, then after a few seconds it will go back to the RGB LEDs, which is quite a good feature, so you don't have to keep turning it on and off. There's a few different modes, so I'll just flick through them quickly. I won't do them all on video, otherwise it'll be really long. Alright, so this is just different colours here, so not that interesting, but it's good that you got different colour options. You can also set the background, so instead of them being off, then it's white, so I'll just show you that. I think there's a few different colours available. Red, orange, yellow, yeah. Scroll down, it's got all of them. That's pretty cool anyway, it's a good feature. And I think this slider here is sensitivity as well, so if I turn that all the way up, yeah, then it's all the way clipping, but yeah, it's good that you can change the sensitivity if it's not picking it up. Right, so that's the software. It is pretty decent software. I would recommend it if you get this keyboard. You don't need it, you can use it without, but it does add a few extra features and customizability with the LEDs and stuff. So yeah, I'll put a link in the description. I'll try put a link in the description to the website or to the download because it was quite difficult to find. Okay, so I'm going to try uploading a GIF to it now. Got this GIF off the internet, it's of a cat. So you can't drag and drop it, that doesn't work, but you can click import and then just find the GIF, double click, and there it is. Slider's a bit small, but shows all the frames. I think if the GIF's too long, then it will cut out some of it, but well, I think it's got, well, I don't know how much time it has, but should be enough anyway. So see, upload to keyboard, and it's quite a slow process, I think, and it's got the loading on the keyboard as well. So I'll just pause the camera. Okay, so it's uploaded now. You can see even when it's disconnected from the computer, it plays. You don't need to be connected to the software for it. See that it's playing. So you can watch cat videos on your keyboard. Now the screen was turning off there because it wasn't connected to anything. I think it does that as like a standby kind of thing to save the battery, which is another good feature. Now another thing about the software for this keyboard is that it doesn't actually start up with Windows, because a lot of startup programs can slow your computer down, but this software doesn't start up. But when you close out of it, it does stay up in the background in this little tray thing down here, so you have to right click and exit out of it after that, but it uses barely any resources anyway, so it'll be alright. Okay, and I can skip this section if you want. This is just going through all of the options on the screen. So first thing, we've got connect, focus there. We can choose between the cable, the USB receiver, and the 3 different Bluetooth devices, and we can go back there. The layout, we've got Windows and Mac. I guess that'll swap around a few keys. Effect, now this is a lot of effects. I might go through them in a separate video. There's 19 effects, or 20 if you count off as an effect, but I'll go through those in a separate video, I think. Colour, you can change the colour for the effect, so red, orange, yellow, a lot of colours actually there, and of course RGB. Brightness, you can turn the brightness down all the way down to 0 or up to 100. That doesn't affect the brightness of the little screen here. This little screen is a little bit dim actually. I don't know if that's just mine or if all of them are, but it's usable, it's fine. Speed, that slows down and speeds up the effects. One thing to note is when it's at 0%, it's not actually 0, it's still running, but really slow. Volume, that turns your volume on your PC up and down, you can see. Yeah, it's a good feature to have. I think there is a keyboard combination that makes this knob do volume by default. Language, I've already seen that, just Chinese and English. No other languages, but I guess there will be options with the other languages available. And then there's just the GIF that you can choose. and back to time and date and information. Another good thing is that it has a percentage of the battery. If you unplug the cable, it'll have like out of 5 bars, but it also has a percentage as well, so more accurate. I'm not sure how good the battery life is. Might do a follow-up video about the battery life. Another thing is that some of the RGB options are reactive to the keys. See, when I press the keys, there's waves and stuff. There's a lot of options. Not all of them react to the keys, but some of them do. It's another good feature. And as you probably saw, the refresh rate of the LEDs is quite high. That's another thing my old keyboard had as a bit of a, not a problem, but wasn't very good, is that it was quite slow to update. This one's nice and smooth. Alright, so that was a bit of an overview. Just going to go over some pros and cons. Some of the pros are quite high quality look and feel to it. You probably can't see it that well because it's a bit dark now. The camera doesn't pick it up that well, but looks and feels quite high quality. The price is pretty good as well. It was, well, mine was £61 roughly. It was on sale. I got mine from AliExpress, which is, I think that's the cheapest place you can find them. Shipping was also pretty quick as well. It came with 12-day delivery, but actually arrived in 6 days, so pretty good. And the screen, that's one of the main features. You can have GIFs, and it's also got all the, focus it there. No? There we go. It's also got information. It does show the caps lock, num lock and all that, so you see if I put that on. Bit nicer to have it on a screen than an LED, because some of the LEDs can be quite bright and don't look that good. So, although the downside of having it on the screen is that if that's on, you don't really notice it from looking, but it is what it is. Ups and downs, really. Another thing is this knob's quite nice for volume and for controlling stuff on the screen. It does click round quite nicely. It's got quite a nice feel to it. A metal knob would be nicer, but I'm sure you can swap it out. And also they've got to save money by putting a plastic one in. One thing I really liked is that you can easily switch between 3 different Bluetooth devices, so you can have PC, laptop, phone, or whatever 3 devices you want. And you don't have to faff about with pairing it, unpairing it. You'll know if you ever had to connect to one Bluetooth device between 2 different things, it's a bit of a pain. But this makes it a lot easier. Got to say the RGB is very nice. Let's try to get it all in frame there. Lots of different options and modes, and the sound reactive one's also pretty cool. You can change the brightness, speed, all of that. It's also got, I don't know how well you can see that, it's got side lights that, well, this mouse pad's a bit dark, but you can kind of see it there. Just a nice touch, looks quite good. I'm not sure if those sync with the RGB, but when I make a video about the effects, I'll go into a bit more depth on them. It is hot swappable, so you can swap it out for whatever switches you want, and obviously you can change the keycaps if you don't like the colour or the style. A bit more on that later. There's 2 sizes available. If you want to save a bit of money and desk space, you can get the version without the number pad on, without these 3 keys here. So print screen, scroll lock and pause, they're not really useful. I mean, print screen's sometimes good for taking screenshots, but not really. And of course not many people use a number pad. I also like that it comes with a keycap puller. I think this other side is a switch puller, but I couldn't get it to pull out the switch, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't want to pull too hard in case I broke it, but I think if you are going to be swapping these out a lot, then you probably would want something a bit better, because this is just a little plastic thing. And those metal ones you can get, that might last you a bit longer. And onto the downsides, there is a bit of a weird font on some of the keys. See on page up, the lowercase p is a bit long. See it on caps lock as well. And it might just be me, but the lowercase a looks a bit different to the rest of them, but it's not really a deal breaker. It's only a few of the keys, you can see. A lot of them are fine. And of course, if you don't like that, you can swap them out for a different set of keycaps. Connecting it with Bluetooth was pretty confusing. It took a lot of trial and error. It took me a few minutes to figure it out. And before you say go read the instructions, they weren't any help. They just say how to connect it, not how to pair it and set it up. Another thing is the software was quite difficult to get a hold of. There's no QR code or anything that you can scan. Of course, it doesn't come with a CD anymore because no one has a CD drive, but could have at least put a link or something. Now, this might be a bit of a deal breaker for some people, depending on what country you're in. This is a US layout keyboard, not the UK layout. You can tell because it's got a few of the symbols are different. You can see, well, in the UK this here would be the @ key, but it's actually up there. I think they're swapped around, and the enter key is also quite thin instead of the regular size one. Of course, it's still usable. You can change the settings or change the keycaps to. The RGB LEDs and the screen are a little bit dim. I'm not sure if the RGB LEDs are dim because of the keycaps. They're not transparent, so I don't really let much light through. And you can see if I look like that, it's quite bright, but from here it's a bit dim, so don't know if that's just down to the keycaps or what, but just as another thing, even on maximum brightness. Might not be a problem for some people, but it's dimmer than my last keyboard was. Another downside is this little USB receiver. Seems a little bit on the cheaper side. You probably can't tell on video, but you can't really see, but the printing is a bit smudgy. And the plastic does feel quite cheap on this, which is a bit of a difference because the keyboard is quite high quality feeling plastic, but this is a bit cheaper. But this doesn't really matter because it's just you stick it in your computer and you forget about it, so it doesn't really matter. It's not like to the point where it's going to snap. It's just not as premium feeling as some other ones I've had before. And one final thing is that the letters on the keycaps are nearly impossible to read if you're in a pitch black room, if it's far away from the monitor, because even though it's backlit, they're not see-through, they're not transparent, so you do need a bit of a light. So even the light from the monitor's enough, so if you got it in front of the monitor like I do, then you'll be fine pretty much, just only if it's far away. And just a few more neutral things, as just things to know about it. There's 2 different colour sets available. There's the grey and orange one like I have. I'll put a picture up on screen actually. And you can see there's a blue and grey one as well, I think. But obviously you can customise it with whatever colour, shape, font, keycaps you want. So really customisable. And it wasn't clear in the listing, but it does have linear switches. Now that's not really a good thing or a bad thing. It's kind of down to preference. Some people prefer linear, some people prefer tactile, but you can swap it out for whatever you prefer, just so you know it comes with linear. I think that's a more popular one anyway. I think linear switches are more aimed towards gaming, and tactile are more towards typing, like office work and that, but I'm not 100% sure. Now just a few final thoughts. Obviously this keyboard's not going to be for everyone with the price, but if you spent a lot on a gaming PC, then it's fair enough to spend a fair bit on keyboard and mouse, because it is a lot nicer than a cheap keyboard. This is pretty good price for the features that it has, you know, the screen, RGB, and all the customizability. It does have its pros and cons, so you think about that yourself. Think about the pros and cons if it's worth it for you. I got mine for £61 because it was on a sale. I think they're about 70 something pounds to buy regularly, but I'm sure the price will be going up and down all the time. I got mine from AliExpress, so I think that's the best place to get them, but you could have a look around other websites. It's not like super high end, because I know there's a lot more expensive ones, but it's pretty good, especially for the price. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully this helped you decide if this is the keyboard for you.